Welcome. I am a lay Shin Buddhist who nevertheless maintains an interest in the broader realm of Pure Land and Mahayana Buddhist teachings. My YouTube channel is called Akala Akala, that is A-C-A-L-A, A-C-A-L-A. In these podcasts, I make a non-scholarly, humble, and sometimes bumbling attempt to explore a particular topic or question related to the wonderful Buddha Dharma. I hope you find them to be of interest. With that said, let us begin. As I had indicated in a previous podcast, I fairly recently learned that there are scriptures within the Buddha Dharma beyond the three Sukhavati or Pure Land Sutras that relate to the Pure Land of Amida Buddha or to repetition of the Buddha's name. And one of these is within the Shurangama Sutra, which is a famous and much revered Mahayana scripture, particularly within the Chinese tradition. In any case, within that sutra there's dialogue between one of the disciples, namely Ananda, and the Buddha. And at one stage in the story, in the scripture, Ananda is asking the Buddha to give him the secret teaching as to how to most effectively and efficiently attain enlightenment. But rather than responding directly, the Buddha, he asks various great bodhisattvas in the assembly to each tell of how they became enlightened. And there were 25 of them who responded by giving testimony as to which of their practices or techniques they found to be most effective in achieving perfect enlightenment. Now, each of these techniques or practices related to one or another of various constituents or elements that are outlined within the Buddha Dharma, but for our purposes we need not get into that level of detail. What's relevant here is that one of the bodhisattvas who spoke up in response to the Buddha's request was Mahasthama Prapta. And excuse me if I'm not pronouncing that right, but basically Mahasthama Prapta is the bodhisattva embodying wisdom who flanks Amida Buddha along with Kuan Yin, who of course is the embodiment of compassion, infinite compassion, also known as Avalokiteshvara, or the regarder of the cries of the world. In any case, in this particular podcast, what I want to do is go ahead and share a recitation that I did of Mahasthama Prapta's advice to Ananda in terms of what technique he found to be most efficacious in his attainment of enlightenment. And of course, this will directly relate to the Pure Land approach. So with that little preamble, I'll go ahead and share that small section from within the Shurangama Sutra. Specifically, this is the Charles Luck translation. Mahasthama, a son of the Dharma king, who was the head of the group of 52 bodhisattvas, rose from his seat, prostrated himself with his head at the feet of the Buddha, and declared, "I still remember that in the remotest of eons, countless as the sands of the Ganges, there was a Buddha called Amitabha, who was succeeded by 11 other Tathagatas in that kalpa. The last one was called the Buddha whose light surpassed that of the sun and moon. He taught me how to realize the state of samadhi by thinking exclusively of Amitabha Buddha. By way of illustration, if a man concentrates his mind on someone else while the latter always forgets him, both may meet and see, but without recognizing each other. However, if both are keen on thinking of each other, their keenness will grow from one incarnation to another until they become inseparable like a body and its shadow. The Tathagatas in the 10 directions have compassion for all living beings and always think of them like a mother who never ceases thinking of her son. If the son runs away, her thoughts of him will not help. But if he also thinks of her with the same keenness, they will not be separated in spite of the passing of transmigrations. If a living being remembers and thinks of the Buddha, he is bound to behold him in his present or future incarnation. He will not be far from the Buddha, and thus, without the aid of any other expedient, his mind will be opened. He is like a man whose body, perfumed by incense, gives out fragrance. Hence his name, one glorified by Buddha's fragrance and light. From my fundamental cause ground, and with all my thoughts concentrated on the Buddha, I achieved the patient endurance of the uncreate. This is why I help all living beings of this world to control their thoughts by repeating the Buddha's name so that they can reach the Pure Land. As the Buddha now asks about the best means of perfection, I hold that nothing can surpass the perfect control of the six senses with continuous pure thoughts in order to realize samadhi. With that, I will sign off by reciting the Nembutsu in gratitude for being embraced and accepted just as I am by Amida Buddha, never, never to be abandoned. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.